Yes, here we are for Week 13 in the National Football League. Happy December, by the way, everybody, on Football Friday, presented by Wolf Spreads. Guys, it's the last month of 2023, the last full month of NFL football in 2023. I think we need to all let that sink in for a moment. It's amazing how fast this year has gone by. But Nick, Zain, Ben, you guys all ready for another thrilling slate of games?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Back too, Johnny.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ben.
Before we get there, let's talk about Wolf Spreads, who's been with us for, what has it been, like 7-8 weeks now. It's kind of crazy how fast that's, flown by. But if you're looking to get involved in the action while rooting for your favorite team, have you ever had a friendly debate on who can pick more games correctly, Does all this talk about parlays, lines, and over-unders make your head spin, and you want to learn more about the sports betting hoopla? Gamble with us and come check out Wolf Spreads. And guys, I think Wolf Spreads has been easy to use. Like, we've had some good weeks, we've had some down weeks, or you could have a record like Tom where he completely lost everything last week.
It's not only easy to use, but when you look at the slate of all the other sports, it kind of makes you addicted, and it makes you want to keep looking at it to see what new sports they continue to add and what games they haven't done. It's a very interesting platform, and it's definitely one that's very easy to use, and it's free. So if you guys haven't gone on and created a competition yet, we'd highly recommend it, because I think it's an app of the future, and for people who want to get interested in it, you start learning how to sports bet. It's a very nice caveat. So
and like Zan's saying, if you want to create a sports betting competition, it's completely free on the Wolf Spreads app. Here's how it works. Everybody gets 2,000 fantasy dollars. That's fake money to bet on NFL games, with whoever can profit the most within the 2K bankroll wins the competition. And if you're not an NFL fan, don't worry. Wolf Spreads has competitions available for the NBA, MLB, NHL, and college football and college basketball. Put fantasy dollars on the over-under, the money line, or the spreads, competing for the bragging rights with your fellow players while having additional fun while watching sports, and not risking losing your house in the process. Wolf Spreads, sports betting for friends who love the action. All right, Joey, let's get to the action.
Let's get to the action. I also have to say, Wolf Spreads has been a nice learning experience, too, when it comes to gambling as well. So, of course, we all emphasize doing it responsibly, but with Wolf Spreads, you can have some fun with it as well. So, yeah, I know Nick's doing well there profit-wise. I'm doing pretty well, too. I have an almost $1,400 profit so far on Wolf Spreads. Now, as far as our empty the bench competition here in terms of our picks, our win-loss record, and our point spreads. So I right now have 230 points in the lead. Tom is second with 228. Notice, though, we both have the same record, which could play some role later on in the season. But, you know, the guys third through seventh, it's very, very close, too. Nick D has 219. Zain has 217. Nick Morgasen, 214. Ben, 213. Paul, 212. So that's how close it is. And, you know, Nick was down in the dumps in the cellar earlier in the season, and he's turned it around. So everybody can do it. We all can have great weeks. We all can have bad weeks. But let's see what we can do here for Week 13 in the NFL. 6 teams on the bye this week: the Ravens, the Bills, the Bears, the Raiders, the Vikings, and the Giants. But let's do this thing here, guys. It's Week 13, the first football in the month of December. It is, in fact, a Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta, Aditi Kinkabella special on the NFL on CBS. Ben, it is the Los Angeles Chargers taking on your New England Patriots in Foxborough, and the Chargers a 5.5-point favorite.
So, obviously, the Patriots, my team, have been a total disaster. So, for anybody that wants to bet against them, more than likely than not, you're going to probably win your money. It's just been a colossal mess. But this is a game that, you know, the Chargers are a West Coast team. They're going from West Coast to East Coast. And they've had kind of their own struggles, too. You know, obviously, their coaching is a massive one with Staley there. You know, they're going to Foxborough. Hopefully, maybe with a new quarterback with Zappi in, can maybe give them a little bit of life. I don't think it will. And I was so tempted to take the Patriots with the points here, but I just don't see it. Give me the Chargers here to cover the 5.5 and to win this game.
Go ahead, Zain.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with Ben here. I mean, this is a Chargers team that's in desperate need of a win. This Patriots team is going nowhere. There's obviously a lot of questions on what the future of Bill Belichick's going to look like, and with Bailey Zappi in there at quarterback, who hasn't had a ton of just overall starts and overall regular season appearances, and it's just been kind of hit or miss considering what the Patriots quarterback carousel has looked like. This is a game that the Chargers can absolutely not afford to lose because they could easily be looking past it. But those are number two. This is one of those games where the Chargers want to establish themselves as a wild card contender. This is the game where they could easily do it. I'm going to expect Justin Herbert to have a huge day. I'm going to throw for about 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. So give me the Chargers to cover the spread in Foxborough, minus 5.5, of course, and win the game. I'm going to say probably somewhere around the range of 34 to 20 or so. So Chargers winning cover.
You got some points in this one. Okay, let's go to Nick.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers, obviously, Tom and I have been on this record many times that we don't like Brandon Staley. We don't like the way the organization is run. They are still the better team. They still have the better weapons. Justin Herbert, when healthy and capable, can win games. Austin Eckler is a great running back. Again, I'm a broken record when I say this. When healthy, can be a top 3, top 4 running back. The Patriots are just a mess. Like, I'm sure everyone saw the video circulating around Twitter that he was basically standing on the sideline with the scout team while Zappi was taking the throws. So that basically signaled the end of Mac Jones being the starter for this team any way, shape, or form. So as simple as all that, I'm taking the Chargers to cover. I just think they're the better team. But I'm not expecting like a blow-away run-out fashion from the Chargers.
Yeah, Justin Herbert and more so Brandon Staley, I think, could not ask for a better get-right chance than this one. Although there is the concern of the West Coast team coming east to play that early window game, and the Chargers' pass defense is woeful. But, I was on last week. New England's just got nothing going for them right now. So, I couldn't believe they were favorites last week. I told you guys that off the air. But, long story short, you might sweat it, but I'm going to lay the points here with the Chargers in Foxborough in Game 1 on Sunday. So a clean sweep for the 4 of us there in Foxborough. It's a Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnston, Pam Oliver special on Fox. Zan, it is the 8-3 Detroit Lions heading to the Superdome to take on the New Orleans Saints, and the Lions are a 4-point road favorite.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that, but and I know that they're not on the screener, but the Bears beating the Vikings kept every single team in the NFC North mathematically alive for at least another week, but that should not bother the Detroit Lions whatsoever. They're simply the better football team here. This is a game where they need to treat it like a business trip. They need to go in there, win the game, stifle a car, force him into a few horrible mistakes, and just have the Lions offense feast. As long as they have the lead early in this game, I don't see how Detroit slips up here. So this is one of those games that I'm sure, and I'm almost positive that Dan Campbell was just telling his guys, they simply need to stay the course because they have the rest of the NFC North schedule ahead. They have a road game against the Bears in about a week's time or so. They don't want to be looking past, considering that's a divisional game. And as I alluded to, Detroit's just the better team. So I think the Lions win this game. They cover the spread with ease, and they walk out of New Orleans with a much-needed win after just a bad taste in their mouth a week ago against the Packers on Thanksgiving. So give me Detroit.
What you got, Nick?
There is a little bit of concern in Detroit the way they've been playing. I think they're 2-3 in their last 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. They got off to a really good start. They've played really well. Then they started to kind of teeter and kind of peter off a little bit, as everyone thought they were going to carry that strong momentum going into the playoffs. The one guy you still have to be concerned about is Goff, because again, what's Goff's playoff experience? It's not good. It did not look good at all. So that would be my one concern. They are a good team still. Jared Goff has had a massive turnaround, and it's got to be respected because he's played really, really, really good football over this season. And he had the game where he got 2 touchdowns in less than 2.5 minutes to win that game down the stretch. The Saints can play spoiler to some teams. I'm not afraid to say that either, but the Lions are the better team. But I feel like we've said that a lot as of late. The Lions are the better team, and then they lost the game to the Packers on Thanksgiving, which was kind of a shocker of all the games on Thanksgiving. So I think the Lions will win. I think they will cover, but just be careful that the Lions play down to their competition, is what I'll say, because that's what it seems like it's been as of late. But take a cover.
Yeah, look, you were struggling with that one, Nick, right?
A little bit.
It's a tough one, right? Actually, I think this is the toughest game of the week to pick against the spread guys because, you know, the Lions defense has been a major problem as of late. And also the offensive line has been getting whipped around, which has been leading to some Jared Goff interceptions these last couple of weeks. But then you've got the Saints defense that's 27th in points and yards allowed per game since week 6. And when I look at the Saints, the only thing that's been consistent about the Saints this year has been their inconsistency. And also, they are shorthanded going into this matchup on Sunday. I just think, though, this Detroit offense is too good to drop another game here. I'm a little bit worried laying more than the field goal, but I'm going to take Detroit minus the 4 there at the Superdome. But I got to tell you, this is another game that I'm going to be sweating on Sunday. I mean, I didn't put either of these two games on wolf spreads, and for obvious reasons, because I'm not confident in either of them of the first two. But I will lay the points here with the Lions on Sunday. Ben?
So I'm actually going to take the Saints to take the points here. The Lions have been a lot of close games recently. The Saints tend to play better at home, whatever that kind of brings. Specifically, it's at the Superdome. The Lions, as of late, Jared Goff has had a lot more turnovers as of late in this one. You know, the last couple of weeks with Goff. And I think that the Saints could be a close game, but I do have the Lions winning this one, but the Saints taking the points. So I think it's a really tough one because you're kind of tempted to just have the Lions to cover that 4, but I think that the Saints are going to keep it close. So I have the Saints to take the points.
Yeah, I almost did the same thing. It's that close. That's what this is. That 4 number, 4.5 number is such a tricky one. So it's really close. So I could see you doing that too. Absolutely, that's certainly in play. This is going to be one of the better games though on Sunday. I'll definitely be glued into this to come up on Sunday. All right, we've got two. What's that, Sam? Real quick.
Yeah, I just have a really quick follow up. If this line was any more than 4, would you have leaned the other way?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I would have absolutely taken the Saints in the points. I saw some books have it at 4.5. I would have absolutely gone with New Orleans. They're too inconsistent though. And I trust Detroit to bounce back. You remember they have extra time for this game because they played on Thanksgiving. And I do trust Dan Campbell's squad as well to bounce back. So that's why I ultimately will lay them with the Lions on the road here, Zan.
Excellent.
Yeah. So we've got not one, but 2 videos for you here today, you know, because the one team that we have been using this video on is the hottest team in the NFL right now. And they'll get their moment. But first, let's go to our first video of the day involving a certain team. And I think if you've been watching us all season, I think you know where this is going. So let's go to it, Nick.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride.
Putting up my Christmas tree last Friday when that play happened, and I just like dropped everything and looked at that in disbelief. I couldn't believe that. Well, Nick, let's see what happens here. By the way, the Jets get a rare home Fox game, and that's what's going to happen here on Sunday. We've got Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, and Shannon Spake on Fox as the Atlanta Falcons with Desmond Ridder take on Tim Boyle and your New York Jets. And the Falcons are a 2-point favorite going to MetLife on Sunday. Nick?
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to say if you're a degenerate gambler, this is the game for you because this is going to be a horrible game in every way, shape, or form. It's going to be low scoring. The over-under, I think, is 36, and I would hammer the under on this game big time because I think you're going to get interceptions. I think this is going to be the battle of the defenses. Who's going to get more picks in this game? Desmond Ridder throws picks. I don't know. Did Boyle have an interception? Well, yeah, technically he had the interception and the Hail Mary for 99 yards, which I'm still fuming about. from the Black Friday game. But this is going to be bad. The Jets are in free fall mode. They're Tom Petty. They're free falling in every way, shape, or form. I haven't liked the Falcons all year at all, even though I've picked them quite a few times. I said I thought they would play better, but they have not. And their quarterback situation is a mess, but there's no way I'm taking the Jets. I have no faith. After what happened over the last couple of weeks of the Jets, I'm not taking them the rest of the season, period. Take the Falcons to cover. This is an easy one.
All right, let me make a note of that. No more Jet points for the Knicks for Nick this year. Total, by the way, is 34.
Oh, okay, 30. I still wouldn't take it. I have to hammer the under.
I'm losing valuable points in this competition and fantasy money, taking the Jets to cover the past few weeks, and a lot of that has been based on their defense. And could I see Gangrene's defense giving Desmond Ridder problems in this game? Sure. And I mean, it also helps that Ridder hasn't finished the game with more touchdowns than turnovers since week 5. But in this one Sunday, I'm actually much more worried about the Jets' ability to muster enough offense to capitalize on those mistakes. And I think when you look at the advantage, who has a clear advantage on the ground with Bijan Robinson and company, they ranked 4th in the league in rushing. The Jets' run defense is 31st. That's why I am going to lay the 2 points with Atlanta in this one on Sunday to win a low-scoring game. It'll be close, but it'll be low-scoring. But I think Atlanta ekes out a win here on the road, Ben. That's 3. So that is 3 straight road favorites to win and cover for me to start here, Ben.
So crazy enough, this is actually one of my upset specials. I'm picking the Jets at +2. I just don't believe in the Falcons at all. I don't believe in the Jets quarterback situation at all, but something has to give. And I think it's going to come down to the reason being is the defense. I trust the Jets defense to make enough plays in this one. So I think that's the biggest reason, because any other situation at another team at quarterback, like the Texans are coming to the Jets next week. Of course, I'm picking the Texans, but the Falcons, I just don't know their quarterback situation, how effective it is. And if they could be able to beat the Jets, by all means, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'm going to go off gamble here. I'm going to pick the Jets at +2 and to pull out a very low scoring game.
What about you, Zan?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this game is just going to be ugly in every way, shape, or form. I cannot imagine what the New York sports radio talk show hosts are going to be fuming about Monday morning. It might get ugly really fast, but anyway, this is what happens when you get deep into the NFL season and you're just looking for anything to watch. This is exactly one of those games. 2 horrible offenses, a pretty good defense versus an okay defense. Simply put, Atlanta's the better team. They're still in division title contention. They have more to play for. Simply put, the Falcons win and cover. The Jets seem to be going nowhere fast. Their chance is to win the AFC East or slim to none. This to me seems like an easy pick. I think the Falcons win this game probably 24-14 would be my final score there. And a game that quite frankly, if Atlanta loses, the only thing that they could really blame is themselves and nobody else. So give me Atlanta.
All right, well, we'll see there. It is
Well,
in fact.
can I say one more thing about this also? I'd rather go join Aaron Rodgers in the darkness than watch this game.
Yeah. This will not be one.
I don't know.
What's that, Zan?
I was going to say I don't blame Nick for a minute. Absolutely not.
Well, there are other options here on Sunday, including this one down in Pittsburgh, guys. In fact, it's a Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins special on the NFL on CBS as Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals go west to east here to take on Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are a 5.5-point favorite at Aquashore Stadium, and I'll take this one first. So we have another West Coast team that's coming east to play in the early window alert. And Arizona's been better since Kyler Murray's return, but not really by a huge margin. And the Cardinals' defense has continued to be a problem in this one. I'm going to take the Steelers to log their second straight old-fashioned victory, which means actually tallying more yards than the other team. So give me the Steelers at home laying the 5.5, Ben.
I'm going to go Pittsburgh here. I haven't been the biggest believer still with the Cardinals. Yeah, Kyler's back, but they're kind of focused right now in the draft situation. The Steelers have been a really good team, and they've been a really good home team. So I'm going to trust the Steelers to take the cover here at 5.5 and to win this game.
Zan?
Steelers win. This is an easy win for Pickett and company. They really don't have much to worry about, and they have bigger games to focus on later in the year. And this is just another one of those games, even though they're not going on the road. This is one of those games where they just need to go in and take care of business. I expect a big day out of Jalen Warren. I expect a nice passing day out of Kenny Pickett. I expect George Pickens to at least catch one touchdown. So I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to cover the 5.5, and I'm actually going to go as far and this is my lock of the week. Here's the first lock. Pittsburgh minus 5.5 at home in a game that they certainly should win. They probably have like a 97% chance to win this game. The only way that Pittsburgh loses this game is if some obscure injury happens that no one expects, or if Arizona just goes out and plays their best game of the season. But in any event, give me Pittsburgh to win and give me them as my lock of the week.
The first lock here, week 13. And Nick?
Yeah, I like the Steelers, even though they made everybody sweat on the lock last week. But I like the Steelers in this situation. I just think that they're a better team, even though Pickett makes you sweat big time and lately in all these games, including against a Cincinnati team who had an XFL quarterback starting. I mean, they should have won that game by a lot more. But that's neither here nor there. The Cardinals, you don't know who they are. I know Kyler's back. Obviously, he's going to make them a better team. I still don't like Kyler. I never have liked Kyler. I don't think it makes them much better than they were. So I'm going to take the Steelers to cover.
So clean sweep for us there at Aqua Shore Stadium. All right, Ben, let's go to Nissan Stadium. We've got Andrew Catalan, Tiki Barber, Matt Ryan, and AJ Ross on the NFL and CBS. In the AFC South, we've got the Indianapolis Colts and Gardner Minshew taking on Will Levis and the Tennessee Titans. And the Colts, a 1-point road favorite.
This is tough. I mean, the Colts probably went up Jonathan Taylor for a couple of weeks. He suffered an injury last week, and he was really good last week. But Zach Moss has done a really good job all year, starting or being the backup. And Michael Pittman's been absolutely fantastic for the Colts receiving core. The Titans are just kind of one of those weird teams. I mean, yeah, they won against the Panthers, but they barely beat them. I had the Panthers actually going upset last week, Johnny, because I just haven't been a big believer of the Titans all year. And so I think that the Colts are going to cover here. It's in Tennessee. I know AFC South games are really tough, but I'm going to cover with the Colts here.
All right, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an old-fashioned AFC South tilt. These two teams don't like each other, so I expect it to be a low-scoring slugfest, if you will. But simply put, Gardner Minshew is a better quarterback than Will Levis, and that's why I think the Colts are going to go into Nashville and get it done. I mean, simply put, I mean, the Colts were to play for. Tennessee is kind of at their season derailed ever since Ryan Tannehill got hurt, and they just simply have not been the same team ever since that loss to Pittsburgh, where they had a chance to win the game at the end. And I just think Tennessee's in free fall mode, with their only exception really being that win and lock that I had a week ago against Carolina. So simply put, Colts are the better team. They'll cover the spread. Probably somewhere around, I would say, 26-13. Gardner Minshew does just enough to maybe throw one touchdown. He rushes for maybe like 40 or 50 yards, and the Colts get a huge interception to seal the win. So give me the Colts to win and cover on the road.
Nick, what do you have?
Believe it or not, you're going to be shocked. I'm actually taking the Titans to win this game. Because, again, Jonathan Taylor is out with the thumb surgery issue, which people are forgetting about. So I think that's a massive loss right there. And I think that Gardner Minshew needs that Taylor to win games. Like, he's been the big factor opening that offense. With Jonathan Taylor not there, they can't open that offense up for more options. That's going to be a problem. I don't like either quarterback. I don't like Minshew. I don't like Levis. It's a crapshoot at the battle of the quarterbacks of this game. So it's going to come down to the running game and the ground game. And in this case, the Titans have the massive advantage on the ground. Give me the Titans to win here outright.
So, Nick, I totally agree with you, but I don't think it's anything to do with the ground game. This game is based solely on location. First of all, this game screams a Mike Vrabel game, but this is a divisional matchup to me where location is key. Let me give you some numbers here. Away from Nashville, the Titans are 0-7 while they're averaging just over 12 points a game. At Nissan Stadium, they're 4-0 and their point total more than doubles, which should continue against this Colts defense. And yeah, no Jonathan Taylor. You said that. That means we're going to see more Zach Moss, who actually has done well there for Indy. But I actually trust Will Levis more than Gardner Minshew at home. And Derrick Henry absolutely destroys divisional opponents, especially late in the year. And I just feel like this is a home game against a turnover-prone Gardner Minshew, where I think it advantages Will Levis and company. And the Colts are definitely gettable on the ground. They've given a bunch of yards here to bad running teams over the last month. So I'm going to take the Titans here on the money line and win outright here in this AFC South matchup, and I think they continue their winning ways at home. So a split call, the two guys on top for Tennessee, the two on the bottom taking the Colts in this AFC South matchup. Zan, it's Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, and Christina Pink on the NFL on Fox as Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins head to FedEx Field to take on Sam Howell and the Commanders, and the Dolphins laying 9.5.
Yeah, I mean, this is a massive spread, but you're talking about a Commanders team that's just in complete disarray. You know, with stuff's going around, they might fire Ron Rivera at the end of the season, and I just don't think that'll serve as any extra motivation. Simply put, the Dolphins are the better team here. Tyreek, looks like he's one of the best wide receivers in football, if not the best downfield wide receiver in the game. And then, of course, Tua has been having a wonderful season, ever since his multiple concussions about a year ago or so. And simply put, I just think the Dolphins offense is going to be able to do whatever they want against the Commanders defense that tends to give up 20-plus points a game if they're lucky. So I like Miami here. This is a game, again, where it's a business trip. They got to go in there, win the game, and then worry about how the rest of the AFC East takes care of itself. I think this is an easy win for Miami. Give me a 17. Actually, no, give me an 18-point win or 38-20 in Washington. A major win for the Dolphins.
What about you, Nick?
I mean, I like the Dolphins. I'm always going to like the Dolphins because their offense is probably the number one offense in the league this year. Tua's got to be up there in the MVP conversation. Their defense, a little iffy at times, but their offense covers up their defensive woes. The Commanders are just a mess. They fired Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator. Yep. What was that, last week? So they're down a defensive coordinator. I think there's going to be a lot more heads that are going to get snapped and fired over the next couple weeks. I think Ron Rivera will be gone at the end of the season also. So I think everything is not going right in Washington. And Eric Bieniemy, how many more rumors are we going to hear about him being the head coach and they're just going to pass over him again? We're just get ready for that because that's what you're going to hear. The Dolphins are much better offensively. Tyreek alone is going to beat the you-know-what out of the Commanders. I was close to taking a plus here, but I am going to take them to cover at 9.5.
So Zan and Nick, I agree with almost everything you said there, except one thing. I'm taking the points here with the Commanders. I think this is just a few too many because the Dolphins do put up good numbers, but not really on the road and not as of late. The Commanders can score. Sam Howell plays well enough to keep this game close. I think the real concern, and you guys have both mentioned this, the Commanders defense will definitely have a challenge against this offense, but the offense, again, has not been as sharp as it's been in weeks past. So I definitely see the Dolphins winning this game, but I think that the Commanders are going to keep this game inside the number because the Commanders are a streaky team too, and whenever we doubt them, they seem to find a way to make it kind of interesting. So I'm going to take the Dolphins something like 30-23, let's say, over the Commanders at FedEx Field. So they'll definitely win this, but I just don't think they're going to cover 9.5, Ben.
I agree. I think that the Dolphins are going to win this game, but 9.5 is a massive line to hold for and cover. And I've been a massive believer all year in terms of massive lines with the Dolphins, with their covers and actually picking them to lock. Mm-hmm. But not in this case. I think that the Commanders, they fired Jack Del Rio. I think that their defense is going to be able to keep them afloat a little bit in this game. But I just think that the Dolphins have just too much firepower. And remember, the Dolphins just got Jason Pierre-Paul added because of Jalen Phillips got hurt. So I think now maybe, I don't know how much of that's going to really help, but I just think that the Dolphins have been one of the best teams in the AFC all year. And there's no, I mean, of course, we could obviously see an upset here in this case, but any given league, any Sunday, but I just don't see it. So give me the Dolphins are to win, but I have the Commanders taking the points.
That Jalen Phillips injury, by the way, big deal later on in the season for the Dolphins for sure. That's a great point you brought up there. But I don't think it'll hurt them this week, but it could hurt them later on in the season. All right, time for video number 2 here on Football Friday. Nick, go for it. And by the way, this is
Broncos country.
Oh, so sorry, I jumped you there. What were you going to say?
Okay. I was just going to say it's now time, ladies and gentlemen, for the hottest team in the National Football League.
Okay, now we can go.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride.
By the way, I got to give the Broncos credit for having the sheep on the field during the halftime, during halftime last game. That just made the Broncos who they are all season.
But I think you guys said this last week. It's not the same when they're actually winning games, and now they've got a winning record, right? What was the thing that it said there? It said we've got a winning record now.
Yes, it says we have a winning record now.
Hey, listen, you know what? This has been an unbelievable turnaround for Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, and they've got one of the better games here on Sunday. Nick, we've got Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn on CBS as Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos head to Houston to take on C.J. Stroud, DeMeco Ryans, and the Texans are laying 3.5.
Well, it's an interesting game. I'll give you that at first. C.J. Stroud, who's been up there all year, been playing great, and has to be up there in the discussion. I'm going to keep saying this, and people are going to look at me funny, but he's got to be up there at least in the discussion to be talked about for MVP, to be talked about. And people are going to say, "Oh, what do you mean?" I mean, if you see he's throwing 3 to 4 touchdowns every game, you would understand. And he's throwing for 300 plus yards. I don't know how many games most of his games he's throwing for 300 plus yards. So, but here's the thing, and I'm going to steal a Johnny motive here. The hook is in play on this game, and I'm taking the Broncos as a plus 3.5. I like the Broncos in the way they're playing right now. Who would have thought I would have said that about 5-6 weeks ago, that I actually like the Broncos to win a game? So I think Russell's playing better. I think their defense is playing better. Their offense is finally in sync. Like I said to you guys last week, Russ is finally running for the first downs because they're leaving him open down center. I think the Broncos cover this one, plus 3.5 for the Broncos.
Just out of curiosity, would you take them as a full upset? Would you go money line on this game?
Probably not. No.
Yeah, it's close, but you're 100% right. The hook is the big deal, and this line has been fluctuating between 3 and 3.5 all week. But let me give you some numbers here. Over the past 5 weeks, the Broncos have forced 16 turnovers. There are 18 teams that haven't even forced 16 turnovers for the entire season.
That's crazy.
Right? And I know you like to talk about C.J. Stroud. We've brought him up a lot this season. He's been great, but I'll tell you right now, he's been making mistakes these last 3 games. He's turned the ball over 6 times, 4 interceptions, and 2 lost fumbles. He had a key miscue down the stretch in that game against Jacksonville. And while he's making some mistakes, you know who's not making mistakes? Russell Wilson. He's not only is he playing his best football, not only is he playing much better this season, he's been nearly unstoppable in the red zone and on both 3rd and 4th down. This game is so close. I almost think we could be looking at a similar situation to last week, except Matt Amendola will not become Matt Amendoinka. I'm gonna, and I love that because I took Jacksonville and I took the under, which both hit last week. I'm gonna at least at the bare minimum grab the 3.5 with Denver. I think this game is really close. I don't see either team blowing each other out. I think this is going to be a very fun. And because Ian Eagle's doing this game, you know that it's going to be very, very dramatic. So I'm going to say it's going to be a very close one. I'll take the plus points with Denver at the bare minimum, Ben.
Imagine saying that this game, this point in the season, would be a massive game for both teams. I mean, you look at the Broncos, they were like 1-5. The Texans, you just had no idea. They were one of the worst teams in football last year. And here we are. That's what makes this sport amazing. You guys pretty much said everything, that I was going to mention. I mean, Russell Wilson's been playing some of his best football. Yeah, he's not throwing for a lot of yards, but the passing yards, but he's getting the job done. He's essentially not turning the ball over, and that's essentially what they should have been doing. For when Peyton was obviously coming there to be their head coach. So the defense, of course, ever since that 70-point game against Miami, their turnaround's been incredible. Yeah, I'll eat my words in terms of Vance Joseph slander. I'm sorry, because I definitely was slandering him early on this season. I give him credit where credit's due for sure. It's been incredible. The Texans, of course, have been a great story all year. CJ obviously has played good ball. Of course, he's had his ups and downs, but he's a young quarterback, and it's going to happen for a lot of these young guys. They're going to have their, moments, that they're going to be great, and there's going to be some moments that they're not. So I'm going to lay the 3.5 for the Broncos, though. I think it's going to be close. Both teams are kind of similar situations right now where they're kind of feeling themselves. I know that obviously the Texans lost last week, but it was right down the wire, and it could have happened where they could have had the break where they made the field goal. But, yeah, I'm going to go with the Broncos to lay the 3.5. It should be a really, really good game.
So you're taking the Broncos plus 3.5. That's what you're doing. Okay. Yeah. By the way, they're like the definition of the oxymoron of the NFL, a long, short season. Zan, yes. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fantastic game. Don't be surprised, wink, wink, and nudge, nudge, if this game ends up going into overtime, because I think these two quarterbacks can put on an absolute show on Sunday. But simply put, I think Russell Wilson outduels E.J. Stroud in an absolute thriller in a game that is an absolute must-win for both teams' playoff hopes. But as all of you guys have alluded to, Denver's just been playing really well the last few weeks. I know, Johnny, you had mentioned that C.J. Stroud has made some costly mistakes, which I think could be taking away from how well he's been playing this year. And I'm not trying to discount that, but if you take away those 4 mistakes, you could be looking at 2 extra wins instead of 2 very, very close and heartbreaking losses. So simply put, I'm taking Denver plus 3.5, and of course to win the game. Obviously, I'm going to say 34-27 in overtime. Broncos win on the road in Houston and keep their very much AFC wildcard playoff hopes intact. So
I like that. It should be another thriller down there. From that, we go to this one. It is, in fact, a Tom McCarthy, James Lofton, Jay Feely, and Tiffany Blackman special on the NFL on CBS as the Carolina Panthers, now with new interim coach Chris Tabor, at 1-10, go to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, and Tampa Bay is laying 5 points at Raymond James Stadium. I'll take this one first. We talk about Frank Reich being fired with the Panthers. He was not the only issue with the team. Let's just be honest. This roster is not good. Bryce Young's not playing well. Not all his fault. But, the only scary thing with this is that the Bucs have had some defensive issues lately, but I think this is the right team for them to cure those. There's going to be no fired coach bump in this one for Carolina. I'm going to take the 5 points with Tampa Bay at Raymond James, Ben.
I'm going to go Tampa here. I made a massive mistake for even considering the Panthers last week. So, yeah, that was an L on me. But Frank Reich getting fired. Bryce Young obviously it hasn't worked out his first year. And I think he definitely could still turn around. He was the number 1 overall pick for a reason. Yeah, the Panthers they've pretty much been in disarray all year. They've been kind of like the AFC version of the Patriots, I guess, in a way. So yeah, the Bucs at least kind of have, a little bit of an offense. Baker's had his moments here and there. I don't think you're going to have to do a lot for Baker Mayfield against this Panthers team. I think you just kind of have to be a game manager like he typically is. And you should be able to pull it out here. And this one, and you should be able to cover in this one too against a really bad Panthers team. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers to cover the -5.
Zan, what do you have?
Yeah, Tampa covers here. I mean, simply put, if Baker Mayfield doesn't win this game, then I think Tampa has more problems than people even realize. And truly, this has to be be the worst game on the NFL schedule, and this is just one of those games where Tampa needs to win. It doesn't even matter if they cover. The NFC South is kind of putrid as it is, considering that Carolina is 1-10 and going nowhere fast. Although I do think that the Panthers were a little bit premature in firing Frank Reich, but as you alluded to, Johnny, earlier in the week, it makes absolute sense why they did so at this point in the season. But yeah, I think Tampa wins this game. They'll probably end up winning it by a 10 or something. So I'm going to say 27-17 Bucks, and I just think overall, I mean Tampa's the better team. They have the better offense, and I actually think Rashawn White scores 2 touchdowns in a breakout performance with at least 180 yards on the ground. So give me Tampa Bay.
What do you got, Nick?
This is an ugly game. It's an ugly game. Again, quarterback situation, not great on either side. Even though Bryce Young will have some hopeful potential and then maybe in 3 to 4 years, the coaching scheme, obviously, Frank Reich should have never been the head coach of this team whatsoever. I feel like that was not a good fit. He was not a good fit with the Colts. He was not a good fit with the Panthers, in my opinion. And I don't know if you guys read the reports. David Tepper, the owner, supposedly was putting his input into the playmaking of the head coach. And I don't know if you guys saw that report, but what guy is going to want to be the head coach of this team if the owner is getting involved?
Never a good thing.
They're not in a position right now that's in a good one either. So
it's not a good one. So the way I look at this game is the only thing you're going to have to worry about with the Bucks is Baker Mayfield forcing passes. That's the only thing you're going to have to worry about. If he's not forcing passes, they're going to win this game by quite a bit, at least a touchdown, maybe 2, because the Panthers have no defense, and Bryce Young just looks not good right now. So I'm taking the money. It should be an obvious cover, hopefully.
I would think so, too.
And we'll find out right down there at Raymond James. It is, in fact, a Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Laura Oakman special on the NFL on Fox. Ben, at SoFi Stadium, we've got the Cleveland Browns and Los Angeles Rams. Big question mark in this game is it going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson clearing concussion protocol on time, or are we going to be looking at the likes of Joe Flacco there at SoFi Stadium? But we do know that it's Matthew Stafford for the Rams, and the Rams are laying 3.5.
There's a reason why I'm not even considering the Browns to cover, is because I just don't know their quarterback situation right now. And the Rams found some offensive life, and it's because of one guy and one guy only. That's Kyron Williams, their running back. He was absolutely fantastic early on in the season. He was out for a little bit. Their offense pretty much was stagnant. And then he came back last week and then put on that absolute show against the Cardinals. And so I think that they ride it out. I know that the Browns have a very good defense, but they've had some guys injured. Myles Garrett, of course, is a little bit banged up. They've had some guys injured defensively. And so between that and between the quarterback situation, I just can't trust them. So I'm going to lay the Rams here, actually, to lay the 3.5.
What about you, Dan?
Must-win game for the Browns, but very similarly to Ben. We obviously don't know who the quarterback's going to be, and when you don't know who your quarterback is, that's a problem. And we put Stafford is better than both of those guys combined. Give me the Rams to cover and win -3.5. Simply put.
Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I'm based on that same route. The reports is that Joe Flacco is going to start. That's what I'm reading as of right now, because Dorian Thompson-Robinson is not going to clear concussion protocol for the game. So it most likely is going to be Joe Flacco. And I have firsthand accounts of Joe Flacco. So it's not good. It's not going to be good.
Yeah.
He was on the roster, and they went to a backup beyond the backup of Joe Flacco. They wouldn't even put him back on the field.
I think they waived him, and then they claimed him back because they just not desperate.
Yeah, that's how bad the quarterback situation is in New York. If he starts, they're going to get blown out. This is the easiest cover of the whole football Friday. Take the money.
Wow, that's saying something against the number 1 defense. But you know what the thing is? By the way, 4th different quarterbacks starting for the Browns here in Week 13. That's crazy. But Ben, you nailed it 100%. Kyron Williams is the big reason why one of the reasons why I'm taking the Rams laying the 3.5 here, because while we talk about Cleveland's defense, They have allowed 341 rushing yards in the last 2 weeks, which is tied for the most in the league in that span. So Kyron Williams, who came back 228 yards last week against the Cardinals, that is one reason. We saw it last week too. The Broncos jumped out to a quick lead, 14-0 against Cleveland, and they had to play catch-up football with a third-string quarterback down 14-0. If that happens, let's say the Rams offense here gets off to a quick lead here again, do I see the Browns being able to come back from that? I don't. And also the Rams defense has been playing better. I said when they were 3-6, they had some very, very favorable matchups. And, now it seems like everybody's getting healthy. And that is why not only am I taking the Rams laying at 3.5, this is going to be my bench lock of the week here. And it's a little risky with the hook against the best defense in the league. But you're starting to see the tide turning a little bit here with the Rams. And I think they get this one done and continue the winning ways. Yes, Nick?
I actually was going to say that too. I didn't even get to say it. I'm locking with you on this one also.
Very good.
You know what?
So
I'm going to lock
rise together or we'll fall
Let's
together.
Let's make it 3.
You want to do it too?
I'm making it 3. Yeah.
All right, so there we go. And we had 2 guys, by the way, put a bench lock on the Dolphins laying the 9.5 earlier, and we know Zan's bench lock in the Steelers.
Am I the only one so far that's bench locked Pittsburgh, or does anybody?
Yeah, you're the only one.
You're the only one. I mean, I'm still waiting as of right now to get Paul's, and once we get everybody's, we'll put up, of course, on our social media accounts, Game On ETB on Facebook and Twitter, the ETB Network as well, also on our Instagram account. But yeah, it looks like right now you are there. So Nick, myself, and Ben will all bench lock the Rams. So we either all will rise together or we'll all fall together with the Rams laying the 3.5. I
will say right now, I think this one is pretty easy. If Flacco starts, I think this is pretty foregone conclusion.
It looks favorable. I mean, the only thing that really scares me now, if this ends up being 27-24. That would be the only scary thing.
That would be great.
I mean, we've had bad beats though before, but hopefully not here. Over there.
Well, that means that if you 3 are locking in that game, that means it has to be a requirement for all 3 of you to watch that. You better not. Listen, if you guys are so confident, you better see it then.
Well, I am a little nervous, but I'm just confident in the Rams. But yeah, I'll have this game. I'll be out Sunday afternoon watching this game.
I'll be watching it for sure.
And you know what else I'll be watching, Zan? This one in Philadelphia, a Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi special on Fox. Zan, will go to you here. It is the San Francisco 49ers heading to Lincoln Financial to take on the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles. And yes, you are seeing that right. The 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles are getting 3 points here, Zan.
Yes, the NFC Championship rematch. You have one of the best defenses in the NFL versus one of the most electrifying offenses in the league. You want to talk about a game of the year caliber? This is definitely it. This should have been the Sunday night game. To be quite honest with you, I'm sure all of you guys agree with that. I think the NFL screwed this one up big time. But the good news is that 90% of the country is going to be able to see it. Nonetheless, the Eagles were on a thriller last week against the Bills, and the 49ers have been kind of hit or miss. It's a way. I just think that a whole West Coast to East Coast cross-country trip is going to kill them. And based on the weather forecast that I saw a couple of days ago, I think the conditions really do favor the Eagles. So give me the Eagles to cover here and give me the Eagles to win a really low-scoring game. I'm going to say 20-17 is your final. Actually, yeah, a 20-17 is your final. So the Eagles will either push for some or cover for others based on what book you have.
Sam, if you're saying that you're taking the Eagles as an upset special because the 49ers are the 3-point favorites.
That's
okay,
exactly.
I just wanted to be sure. So I mean, if you're taking the Eagles that way, it doesn't matter if they're laying 3 or not. If they win, they win. You're good there. All right, exactly. There you go. I just wanted you to be sure. So you're going to take the Eagles in a low scoring game down over there on Sunday. All right, Nick, what do you have here?
By the way, Zan, just to point it out, the over/under on that game is 48.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game with a lot of running. That's what I think.
I don't know. This is a tough one. My instinct, by the way, was right in the last Eagle game against the Chiefs because everyone said, "Oh, the Chiefs are going to run all over and kill the Eagles." That didn't happen. When I look at this game. The Niners, on paper, the Niners are the better offense. That's not even a question. They have Debo, they have McCaffrey, they have Ayuk, they have better options on the field. Quarterback situation goes to the Eagles. That's not even a question. I would take Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy every single time. But the Eagles, a lot of the games that they've won have been lower competition so far this year. They're 10-1, but a lot of the games they've blown out, except for losing to the Jets, which I still can't figure out how they lost to the Jets at MetLife. But in this case, I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the Niners to cover. The Niners have come back since Deebo has come back, since Trent Williams has come back. That was a missing piece on their line that they really needed back. McCaffrey is going to be a problem for the secondary for the Eagles. So I have the Niners covering, and I think they're going to win this one, and the Eagles are finally going to lose their second game.
So if everybody remembers Football Friday from last year, I know I'm going to have to channel my inner Tom Albano here today. Look what we've got here in Week 13, guys. Playoff scenarios.
Uh-oh.
Yes, we have a playoff scenario in this game. So the Eagles can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Rams loss or tie, or a Eagles win and a Detroit loss and a Green Bay loss or tie. Or if a Philly ties plus the Rams lose, the Packers lose or tie, and Atlanta loses or ties. Or if the Eagles tie, the Rams lose, the Packers lose or tie, and New Orleans loses or ties. So if the Eagles win this game, then they need a Rams loss or tie, or a Detroit loss and Green Bay loss or tie. So there's a possibility here that the Eagles could clinch a playoff spot as early as Week 13. But I don't think they're going to do it because I don't think they're winning this game. I'm taking the Niners minus the 3 here. First of all, the fact that you have a 10-win team getting 3 points is very attractive to go that direction. But to me, this is the right line because we look at the Niners here. Brock Purdy is back. He's healthy, and he's playing well. And the Eagles' defense is not. And it looks like the 49ers defense is back on track after a lull a few weeks back. And I think that's the difference in this one. I think the 49ers win a tough road game, 27-23 at Lincoln Financial on Sunday. And yeah, the weather may be a factor, but we saw that last week in the Bill-Eagle game, and it ended up being one of an instant classic. But I'm going to lay the 3 with the Niners, and they win this game by 4 in a thriller on Sunday. Ben?
It's going to be an amazing game. Both teams, of course, are probably the 2 best teams in football for the NFC this year. And, I'm going to go with the hot team, and that's the Eagles. I mean, both teams, of course, have been great, but it's because they're at their place, and Philly plays really good at home. They just find ways to win at home. I mean, I don't think after being down 2 scores to Buffalo that either were going to come back, and they did. So I think that, Brock Purdy, of course, has been great this year, but the Philly defense, their front's going to be able to, get to that offensive line from the Niners. And, if it was the other side, I was going to go Niners here to win, but I'm going to have the Eagles as an upset special at +3.
So there we go. We got a split decision there, and I think that's appropriate for how great this matchup is going to be there on Sunday. It's Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Nick, it is Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs heading to Green Bay to Lambeau Field to take on Jordan Love and the Packers, and the Chiefs are a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, this is a lot closer than I want to say it actually is. The Packers played good football on Thanksgiving, beating the Lions, but is that an outlier? I don't know, because the Packers, you don't know what team you're going to get every week. Jordan Love is playing better football. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with the Chiefs, even though they won, and I think they won. What did they win by? 2 TDs, 2 touchdowns against the Vegas Raiders, even though they looked. That was the first time all season they were down 14-0 all year. But I don't know. I still have questions about the Chiefs' offense. Also, they've been winning a lot of games defensively, not offensively this year. And that's kind of a concern. And the Packers could be kind of sneaky too. So I'm kind of like on the fence, which I didn't think I would be in this game. But I'll take the Chiefs to cover, but I think it's going to be like a 7-point game, a touchdown win. I think it's going to be right over the number. So I'm taking a cover, but just barely.
Well, that counts, so that'll work. So here's a fun fact: this is the first time that Patrick Mahomes is going to be playing at Lambeau Field. Now you want a fun prediction?
Okay.
I'm taking the points. I think that I'm taking the Packers in this one, guys. The Chiefs are playing consecutive road games. The Packers have added rest after playing on Thanksgiving, which I think is an advantage for Green Bay. They've improved on offense with Jordan Love, which I think will keep them in this game. Look, I love Kansas City's defense. Offensively, look, they're still fine, even though they're not what they have been. I think the Chiefs find a way late to win this game, but I think it's really close. So I'm grabbing the 6 with the Packers here at Lambeau. I think the Chiefs win, but I think it's inside that number. Ben?
I agree. I'm going to go with the Packers to lay the points. I really like the Packers defense. The Chiefs, I think, obviously were great last week, but the Raiders haven't been really a good team all year. So the Chiefs really needed this game as a get-right game. But the Packers, I think, going to Detroit and winning on Thanksgiving speaks volumes. It's I think a momentum type of game for them. So I think that they're going to play really good. And it's at Lambeau, and a lot of crazy things happen at Lambeau. Like you mentioned, it's first time for Mahomes to play there. So I'm just going to go on a limb and, give the points for the Packers. I don't think that they win this game because I just think that the Chiefs are a better team. But I think that the Packers are going to find a way to keep this game close, and that's when I'm going to lay the 6 here.
Let's be fair, Ben. You called it 2 weeks ago with the Packers over the Chargers. So I mean, you know what you're talking about there. And Green Bay is, they're in the hunt at 5-6. They're right up there, and especially if Seattle loses on Thursday night. I mean, all of a sudden they're in the hunt. By the way, also the Giants are technically in the hunt too, but I digress. Zan, what do you have here? That graphic they showed a graphic this week on the shows, Nick, that technically the Giants are in the hunt. I mean, look, it's a nice thing. It's not realistic.
My buddy after the game, by the way, thinks as a Giants fan, he thinks they're going to make a run at the playoffs. And I said,
"Oh, please!"
Tell me what Kool-Aid you're having.
Look, I'm a Giants fan. The schedule the rest of the way is brutal. All right.
That's what I told him. I said,
we've played nice the last 2 weeks. We've been playing better here recently, but the schedule, and this is what I was talking about on Football Friday weeks ago, even if they went on a run, the schedule is so torturous that they're just not going to be able to come back from this major hole that they've been in. Zan, what do you have?
Yeah, it's going to be a classic game, and I love the way Green Bay played last week. They played resilient football, beat a really good Detroit team, and Jordan Love arguably had his best game as a starting quarterback in Green Bay. As you alluded to, Johnny, this is Mahomes' first trip to Lambeau Field. I'm sure it's going to be a hostile environment, and I think I'm going to be in agreement with all of you guys here. I love the Packers to cover, but I think the Chiefs win simply because Mahomes is obviously just a little bit better, and I think they have too much of a high-powered offense. But I love this game to be close. I think Green Bay stays in it the whole time, and I actually think they have the lead, and the Chiefs will have to come back and rally and win. So give me the Packers to cover, but the Chiefs to win. So my final score is going to be 21-17 KC. They're in Lambeau on Sunday night, and arguably probably a top 5 game this week overall. If you just look at it in terms of excitement value, if you will. So
interesting. In years past, if that was the final score, I'd give the advantage to Green Bay. But that's how the Chiefs have been doing it here, too. They've been winning kind of these lower scoring games this year because they've been better defensively, but not better offensively, which is not usually the Chiefs' way of doing it. But you know what? A win is a win. That's all it takes. And we'll see if they can do this here at Lambeau Field. And then we wrap up the week in Jacksonville with Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Lisa Salters on Monday Night Football on ESPN as the Cincinnati Bengals take on Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it'll be Jake Browning and the Bengals and Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. And the Jags, a 9-point favorite. So this is the first time that the Jaguars are hosting a Monday Night Football game since 2011. Now, normally coming off of a big division victory like Jacksonville had last week, you sometimes could be worried about a letdown. But this is on a Monday night. The Jags haven't been in this spot since 2011, hosting a Monday night game. Like I said, there's going to be no letdown. And, we could talk about Jake Browning, but Jake Browning actually wasn't that bad last week against the Steelers. You know what was bad? Joe Mixon. He had 16 yards on 8 carries, and I expect the Jags in this 4th-ranked rushing defense to target a similar result that we saw last Sunday. I'm going to lay the points with the Jaguars on Monday, Ben.
Man, the NFL gods have been cruel a lot this year because I would have loved to see Burrow and Lawrence go at it. It's crazy, especially prime time too. The only game everybody's watching, but it's what it is. Jake Browning was on the injury report today, and I don't think he's all that. But if you have to go your third string, I mean, I'm feeling fairly confident in this line. The Jags, of course, have been playing good football. I mean, they had the one in Pittsburgh, which is a really tough place to play. They just beat the Texans, which is a division-type team. They just been a really good team this year, and they're going to be a really good team for years to come. I was thinking maybe the Bengals lay the points here, but I just don't trust the Bengals to score, really. I mean, yeah, you have Jamar Chase. T. Higgins has a decent chance to come back, but who's going to throw the football to them? And I just don't know right now. And so I'm going to lay the Jaguars. I know it's a big line at -9, but I have them to take the -9 here. And I was considering actually this one to be my lock of the week, but I didn't decide to.
Here we go. I think you have a better one. Zan, what do you have?
I'm taking the Jags to win, but I actually think the Bengals do just enough to cover. And I know that Joe Burrow is not the starting quarterback this week, but there's just something about Monday Night Football. No matter who's playing, the underdog seems to rise to the occasion. I do think Jacksonville is the better team, which is why I'm picking them. But I just think this is one of those games where, who knows, maybe the pressure will be too big for the Lawrence and the Jags, considering, as you alluded to, Johnny, this is their first time hosting Monday Night Football in 12 years. I don't think they lose the game. I think they win, obviously, but I just think this is one of those spots where maybe Jacksonville is just looking too far ahead. Maybe they're looking past this game and saying, okay, we need to really focus on winning the AFC South now and not beating a team who we're capable of beating. So give me the Jags to win, but I actually wait the Bengals to cover in a very, very tight thriller. 21-20 is going to be my final there, and the Jags win on Monday night.
All right, Nick, what do you have to wrap us up here for Week 13?
So obviously Monday Night Football, Jaguars, Bengals. I really think they should have flexed this matchup out of Monday Night Football. I think this was a mistake keeping this in there. Obviously, like I understand Jake Browning played good football, but it's a much different game when you're on in prime time and you're the only one being watched by millions of households around the country. I think there is going to be a little more pressure on Browning. If I'm the Jaguars, I focus my attention on Mixon and I stuff the box, forcing Browning to throw the football. Because eventually it's going to come back to bite him because he doesn't have that same experience.
Right.
So I think that's what's going to happen. I think Mixon's going to get stuffed a bunch, and I think it's going to cause some interceptions by Browning. And I think the Jaguars are going to cover.
So there we go. So that's our those are our ETB picks for Week 13. But now let's head to our Wolf Spread plays here for Week 13. So Nick, I think you are leading overall, right, in terms of this competition?
Yes. So I have
we'll let you go first here. What are your plays here for Week 13?
So I had a total profit so far of over $3,500. So I said the Cowboys minus. Well, okay, scratch that. Obviously, because that game already happened. But the Jets. I have the Jets under 34. I think that hammer the under on that one. I think that's going to be a terrible game. I have the Dolphins minus 9.5. Hopefully that covers, but like you said, depends on the situation and the weather and all that stuff in that situation. I have the Chargers minus 5.5. I think we all know why. That's just a bad game. Hopefully the Chargers just don't play down to the competition. And then I have the Bucks minus 5.5.
Okay, cool. So I went with 6 plays here. I got to tell you, this was a tough week. You know, you saw me hesitating a lot during the Football Friday picks, the ETB picks here. So that's why I do have some spreads. I do have some totals, but I'm starting with a money line play, and I'm actually putting a $500 money line play on the Tennessee Titans. You know, I'm talking that home field advantage there at Nissan Stadium. I think is a big deal. I'm still not in love with the Colts defense, and Gardner Minshew is very, very streaky. So I think Will Levis and company continue it going. They're getting a point, but I think they win. But obviously, if they're getting a point, I'm going to take them on the money line. That's a better value play. That's another thing too. I'm looking at value in terms of these picks here for week 13 on Wolf Spread. So that's what I'm going to do there. So that's a $500 wager to get a $500 win there for Tennessee. I'm going to lay the 5.5, a $300 wager with the Buccaneers over the Panthers. That would be a $286 win. Again, value behind that one too. Plus, the worst team in the NFL. I don't think they get the coaching boost there from Tabor in Tampa. I think the Bucs also need this game in the worst way. If I'm bench locking the Rams, I got to play the Rams. They're laying 3.5. I put 300 on them. The Sunday night game, Chiefs Packers, I think it's going to be an exciting one. Obviously, I'm taking the Packers and the points, but I'm more comfortable with the over. It's 42.5. I think there will be a decent amount of points. Even if you're talking about a game in the low 20s, that'll hit over. So that's why I will do that. And then I will take 2 plays on the Monday night game. I'm going to take obviously the Jaguars laying the 8.5. And I'm taking the over. It's 39. I think the Jaguars themselves could do it. I mean, it could be 28-13 Jacksonville, and that would hit the over. So those will be my 6 plays. The money line play, though, is a $500 wager. The other 5 are $300. And we're going to try and get some winners and some value out of these winners in week 13. Ben?
So I'm trying to get some mine that I made the plays for. If you go to Zain real quick, I'll be right back.
Okay. How about you, Zain?
Sure. So at the moment, I profited exactly $736 after a solid 4-1 slate a week ago. So I hope I can keep the momentum going. My first play is the Detroit Lions to win outright against the New Orleans Saints. That's a $350 wager to win 175. My next pick is the Denver Broncos to cover in Houston. Words against the Texans. That's a $250 wager to win 227. A play that I'm pretty confident in, the Patriots Chargers under 40.5 for 250 to 227. I really like that. I was able to hit the under on the Falcons Saints game, so I want to keep the under momentum rolling on a game that I really like. If I see an under, I usually take it. And then one that I'm super confident in, probably the most confident in this week, is a $500 play on the Miami Dolphins minus 9.5 against the Commanders. I hope it does not come back to bite me. And I've got the Eagles money line beating the 49ers outright, $300 to win 290. And then my final pick for this week is the Kansas City Chiefs. Actually, I'm going the other way in Wolf Spreads just because I was going back and forth on this game, so I went either way. I'm taking the Chiefs -6 over the Packers, $350 to win 318. So those are my picks on Wolf Spreads for this week in Week 13 of the NFL.
There we go. All right, Ben.
Okay, so for me right now, I have a total of 650 in terms of my profits. In terms of this weekend, I have the Chargers at the 5.5 spread. I have the Steelers at -5.5, and then I have the Jets under 34.
All right, so you and Nick are agreeing on that one. So there we go. So those are our plays here for Week 13 in the NFL. Like we said, guys, we've got 5 more of these to go in the regular season. It's amazing. We started this journey 3 months ago, and here we are now entering the final month of the year. And I'll tell you what, this weekend is going to be a blast between conference championship weekend and college football. And then on Sunday, you've got obviously the selection show followed by the football slate itself. So it should be a thrilling one to watch. And, of course, we'll react to it all coming up next week. But, of course, folks, several ways for you to get aboard, comment, and follow us along. So, of course, first and foremost, check us out on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ETB Network as we near 650 subscribers and growing. If you like our Football Fridays, leave us a like. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. And, of course, make sure to hit that notification bell so you know when all of our stuff's going to be coming out. Also, you can check us out on our website at etbpodcast.com for more information about our network, whether it's, Nick and Tom there on Empty the Bench, Zan and Tom also on the MMA Outsiders, of course, my Monty Moments and Game On, which we will have some news about in the coming weeks. And, of course, if you cannot watch us, make sure to listen to us on the go. You can listen to Football Friday and of all of our stuff wherever you get your favorite podcasts. So, Nick, Zan, and Ben, you all have a wonderful weekend. It's going to be a thrilling slate, both college and pro-wise, so enjoy it all.
You guys too? Absolutely.
You too. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun week. Hopefully we can have some winners.
Yes, absolutely. We are ending 2023 strong. So for Nick Morgasen, Zain Bando, Ben Kruse, and of course, Paul Lombardi, Tom Albano, and Nick DiMartino. I'm Johnny Montalbano. Everybody have yourselves a great weekend, and we'll catch you all again next week.